Hi, I'm Ben Rusnak, and I'm the Artist-in-Residence at Glacier National Park for July 2023. I'm a photographer, but before I start on telling you about my work, I want to talk to you about why the Artist-in-Residence program exists and what its meaning is to me and what it should mean to you. Back when we were exploring this country, the whitewigs in Congress had no idea the beauty of the lands out here and how meaningful they might be to us one day. So it took authors and painters to show them. And so it was those artists that helped them understand that these lands need to be protected. So the current program is basically an extension of that original ambassadorship. So when I'm in a park, and this is my 4th residency now, I always think of myself as an ambassador of the park. And it's my job to not just talk about art, but talk about anything about the park and help visitors have a better experience while they're here. So that's pretty much why the program exists. Let me tell you about my work as a photographer. I work in a panoramic format, so like this. And I will tell you a quick story before I tell you more about that. Is when my parents, when I was about 10, my parents took my whole family on a 2-month cross-country trip in an RV. And my bunk was over the cab. And so I saw America for the first time, and a lot of the national parks, from this panoramic window that was, I laid up there and just watched the world go by. And I think that has a big role in why I love the panoramic shape now. It's very cinematic, but the way that I use it is a little bit more intimate. It's not just a distant landscape. I'm much closer. I have a lot of foreground elements. There's some more emotion involved. It's a little tighter. It's not so wide all the time, and I involve people in the pictures. So that's the basics of that. And then I'll tell you the 2 themes that I've been working on with my work in the parks. So the first theme has to do with the balance of the dual mandates that Congress gave the National Park Service when they formed it in 1916. And that was, 1, to preserve and protect these beautiful places, and 2, to, quote, provide for the enjoyment of the American people. Obviously, these are in direct conflict because it's hard to do both. And originally, the Park Service did not necessarily do a good job at that balance. They built a lot of lodges, they built a lot of roads. They did things that they wouldn't do today, to be honest with you, where they want to leave things more in a natural state. So nowadays, I think the Park Service does a phenomenal job. It's much more balanced. They recognize that as Americans, all these lands are ours, but we can't value something that we don't experience. And so we do have to do it, but in a way that's, balanced and regulated so that we're not destroying things while we're experiencing them. So some people will come and experience the parks, personally. But there are many, many people that will never come out here. And they'll only experience it through what they see or hear. And that is part of our role as artists, to help people understand better what they're seeing and hearing and make more sense of it. Because, yes, these are beautiful landscapes, but there's a lot more out here to understand. When you get off trail, especially or on a trail, I mean to say, you get out of the parking lot, you're not just looking at a grand vista, you're hearing your feet on the rocks, you're hearing the wind, the birds, you're seeing a leaf floating on the water. These are all really beautiful things that you can experience, and you only do it when you get out on a trail. So I really recommend, if you are able, that you should be doing that. So that part of my work is that balance and understanding those things and being able to experience nature. And then the other part of my work is how should I put this? It's helping understand that nature is a tool for healing. And I use photography to find that healing. But you could use anything. Just being in nature is a healing device. As I've been here in the park, I've talked to a lot of people, and I talk about this subject. We're all healing from something. We all have traumas in our life. I've had a lot of loss in mine recently, and while that's specific to me, it's all universal. We all go through the same things, whether it's a job loss or a breakup or a death in the family. I mean, these are all very traumatic things. I talked to a couple from Philadelphia, and they told me that they had a really good friend that died suddenly of a heart attack at 40 years old, and they were just really shaken up, and they went up to Acadia National Park for a week, and they found themselves again in nature, and it was just a really important tool for them. So every time I talk to somebody has a story similar to that. So what I'm working on in these pictures might have to do with my traumas, but they are universal. So, I'm experiencing, on any given hike, I can experience joy and sorrow and regret and hope, all of these things. So there may be like tears and laughter and the experience of beauty all on one hike, and I do this through photography. So one of the things I do is set an intention, and anybody can do this. So I decide before I go out what I'm looking for, sometimes it might just be as simple as I would want to find shadows or certain compositions, but it could be much deeper. It could be I'm looking for balance, or I'm looking to find a photo that represents the sorrow I'm feeling or the joy I'm feeling. And when you set that intention, you are way more likely to actually find a photo like that. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is take a picture that captures how you felt on that hike, on that day. It does not have to be the best picture you've ever taken. It just has to represent how you feel. And when you do that, or you say, for instance, notice something very particular on a trail that isn't the grand vista that everybody is taking a picture of, right? Because the grand vista it's in a way, it's so many people have done it, it's kind of meaningless to you. But when you find something that's specific to you and how you're feeling, you will remember everything about that hike. There's some science behind this. There's been some studies. So even if the picture isn't great, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that when you look at that photo. And then you remember the whole thing. You remember, the wind in the trees and the way the water rippled, and the way the light came through the leaves. All of those things are super important. And photography can help us experience those better. So this is pretty much what I'm working on here in the park, and it is just such an honor and a joy to be here. I hope I can do more of this. I hope I can help people understand the beauty that's here, but also the beauty that's within us. Because when we explore wild places, we also find the wild places within us. And I think that's really important. Thanks, guys.